Welcome to Node Mode, the NFT podcast on digital art, where we talk with artists, collectors, and reasonably intelligent people about all things NFTs. As usual, nothing in this video is financial advice. We're not financial advisors, and the NFT space is risky, so always remember to do your own research. And if you like the content, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Today's episode is a special Valentine's Day special, and we'll not have Node Mode on Thursday this week. But I couldn't think of a better guest for today than to welcome the return of the king, Chris Bennett, to the show. Everyone's been asking, dude, where have you been?
I know. It's been kind of crazy. The snow was so good this year that I stayed in Utah for a long time and just snowboarded my brains out and kind of just turned off a lot of stuff and basically spent like an hour a day kind of managing stuff. It's been incredible. We haven't had good snow like that in so long. So been doing a lot of that, and then a lot of IRL business stuff doing really well that I've had to put a lot of time in. I don't know if I mentioned before, but I am a part owner in a mining company that mines Bitcoin off of stranded gas in landfills. So clean Bitcoin from canceling out. And there's not really many uses for stranded gas. So meaning like landfills that aren't tied to the grid. And we got our first big flagship up and running and mining off of methane, turning methane into Bitcoin. So we've been really busy with that. It's been fun.
Yeah, no big deal. Just out doing other stuff that's important. That's amazing, dude. Okay, we have so many things we could dive into. Where should we start? You want to start with? Should we start with Blur, and then we can go into some other stuff? Let's get Blur out of the way.
I got to take a big sigh of relief because I thought I'd be claiming while we're talking, trying to act like I was involved, but it got delayed 90 minutes. This one's going to be interesting. They obviously came at it like they took all the volume, right, since they started. They were really smart on how they did their tranches of drops. With the first one, what was the first one on buying? Was it buying? And then the second one was listing, I think, or maybe it was the other way around.
Yeah.
And then the third one was bidding. But it went when did they launch? It went the better part of last year. And they did really well. And then, I think Art Gobblers helped really get kind of exposure there and show how much volume was going on over there and kind of suck everybody over. There's a couple of interesting things. So one, a lot of people are trying to compare to Looks and X2, Y2 and things like that. Those were launched in bulls, so that's one thing to remember. But two, those weren't listed on exchanges instantly. And this is going to be listed on exchanges instantly. I mean, Fred he's a co-founder of Coinbase, previously. And so this is going to be, I think that's pretty cool and crazy how much liquidity will be added to the market around it instantly. That was the same thing with Ape, right? They had all the exchanges lined up, and I think that helped a lot because there's so many coin traders. Like I have friends that still think NFTs are lame, but coin trade and buy, dog derivative coins, which is so much better than NFTs, right? And but they traded Ape like crazy. And so it'd be interesting. This is different too, though. Like we're trading Ape, you got exposure to the Ape ecosystem without like, oh, okay.
Boom. We got an extra special guest joining the show today. K Dean, the legend, one of the earliest guests on Node Mode, still not showing the beautiful face, but a grifter is also a very beautiful thing to see.
Not just a grifter, the grifter. That's Floki right there. That's the one of one. The one of ones.
That's like the one. If you go, I think it's on OpenSea or wherever. That's the one that it shows. It's the iconic grifter. K Dean, dude, I am so stoked to have you back. And this was even a last minute. I just said, hey, dude, we'd love to have you join us. There's about a billion things we'd love to talk to you about. Dude, how's it going?
GM.
Yes, we got a GM. That's all we need.
Just testing out the mic.
An echo GM.
I don't know what you could hear on your end, but
you can hear it, but you're echoing.
Yeah, so go ahead and pause or mute your mic, Kadeen, when we are talking. That's usually if you don't have if you've got a mic and then you don't have headphones in, that's what's going to happen to you. So if you got some headphones, throw those on. we'll give you a minute to get yourself ready to rock and roll, because we got a billion questions about the cause. The cause donation was the most epic thing that's happened all year, and probably will happen all year. But okay, Chris, let's finish up our convo on Blur. So
yeah,
go ahead.
Oh, so it's cool. It's going to be on exchanges right away. It's just hard. It's a bear market, right? So you never know, but it's really cool that they're bringing liquidity into a bear. Like, hopefully a lot of people make some money and put it back into JPEGs and reinvest and things like that, like we usually do. It'll be interesting to see. I have no idea what to expect, because there's so many variables that are different from past token drops.
Yeah, it's like we have to combine the fact that it's better than looks. It's better than X2Y2, but it's not in a bull market, which kind of ruins everything. But we don't have much else going on, so there could be a lot of focus there. And it's on all the exchanges, so it's kind of like you kind of can start looking more at Ape, where it was a very much NFT native token, and it got listed on exchanges right away. Look, if I look at the past airdrops that have happened across, ENS, Looks, SOS, like there's always an initial pump, like instantly with an initial sell, it seems like immediately. And then I don't know if it's more often than not, but yeah, it's like a couple days later you get the real pump. Yeah. And then that's when you sell. Who knows if it'll follow the exact same trend. So I usually just sell a bunch right away, and then I'll probably sell a bunch.
That's smart. Cover it. I mean, you're getting free
it's
whatever
free
you
money.
get, USDC or ETH or whatever. So, take it and then leave some on the table to run with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So did you like do a lot of farming with the Blur stuff? Did you try and
I did a lot of buying and selling on the first two. So I got a lot of the first two. I think I have 800 boxes or something total between a couple wallets. But I did nothing on the bidding. It was just kind of towards the end of the year. I was, holidays and, like I said, snowboarding and stuff like that. And it's kind of tenuous to manage the bidding. And most people that were farming the bidding were just relisting right away, instantly. And I wasn't going to sit around and do all that. So I participated well in the first two. We'll see how those go. I know the biggest tranche is supposed to be for the last one, but we'll see.
Okay, so the big question is, does this have any impact on the rest of the NFT market?
I hope so, in terms of, people putting it back in.
Right.
I think that happened with apes and things like that. But again, when it's a bear and people are down bad, a lot of people are probably just going to swap and hold it as a stable or maybe ETH, but not, I don't know. There's so many variables this time that make it a lot different. It'll be fun to see.
Yeah, love it. Okay, we got a question in the audience, which I think we can talk about. Render's Game, because I called this one, and of course I was too slow to mint, and now I'm ETH poor. So, dude, Render's Game was fantastic. In fact, I believe KD shared a little one of his outputs that he generated on there. But Render's Game by Mount Vitruvius, need to give him a giant congratulations. So Mount Vitruvius was the artist behind Mind the Gap, right, over at GMDAO. Terrific first kind of drop over there. And then he came out with this Render's Game on Art Blocks. This minted yesterday and just has been crushing it. It's at a 3.3 ETH floor, which is amazing considering it is a non-curated project. And so I kind of thought like this would be its peak somewhere around 3 ETH, but I wasn't confident enough to buy on secondary at 1.6, just because all the other art blocks are kind of slowly bleeding at the moment. So I didn't really participate because I was watching the Dutch auction and then I looked away and then it was gone, and that's how they go.
Same.
It was so painful, but I think these look fantastic. And I also think we might be at a local top. What are your thoughts?
Love it. I love that it's not a curated and done so well, and that there's been such high volume. There's a little dip last night, or this morning even too, a little, and I bought an all black one because I really like that one. I really like it because I figured if I don't keep it, okay. Oh, here Kadeen's got it. But if I don't sell it, I'd love to keep it. It's the one that I really liked.
Yeah.
What about you, Kadeen?
I was a big fan of this project. Mind the Gap. What is that? That was a 999 and it's 1.55, and I think this is a third of the supply, and it's on Art Block. So, I mean, not financial advice, but I think there's definitely room to grow as this consolidates. And I don't think people realize it also comes with a physical. I think that's opening up in the next week or two. So that's another plus.
Oh, that's huge. I think I had either forgotten or didn't know that. And I was even, in fact, on a Twitter Spaces with him talking about that. And now I'm remembering that that's what he said. I love your MCAP kind of analogy. That makes perfect sense. But it also assumes that this is going to hold the same value as the Mind the Gap collection, which it clearly is already going to do. I like this one visually better.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think it looks amazing.
And there's a lot of really unique, different outputs. Like a lot of the similar color palettes don't look the same.
Check the all black, the charcoal.
Yeah, that's what I bought.
You bought a charcoal?
Uh-huh.
Like this one?
Yeah, but I bought one that went all the way to the edges. I like the ones that go all the way to the edges, personally.
Oh, that's amazing. Kadeen, it sounds like you've got like a leaf blower in the background. If so, that's cool. You know,
Nope.
You can do that.
He's in his helicopter.
Oh, you in
over
the
Miami.
chopper?
Yeah,
I'm actually in the jet.
the Medici jet.
Oh, there it is. just hanging in the jet. No big deal. Okay, so dude, feel free. If that's what we got to do to get Kadeen, that's what it takes.
Of course.
So let's dig in, Kadeen, on, we want to talk about the Cosmo donation. Like, so many questions there. I don't know, Chris, you ask what you want and then I'll go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess, how did it all start, or kind of the thought process behind it? I know the answer to why LACMA, but it'd be cool for everybody to hear if they're not aware of how forward thinking they've been. Maybe start there.
Kadeen, you coming back, or are you hanging out on the mute button? He's hiding from us.
He's hiding.
Well, whenever you decide.
While he's popping on, it's really cool. They're gonna exhibition it later in the year. There's actually a really cool exhibition right now. I can't remember what it's called, but I think when that's done, maybe he can correct us. But like Q3, Q4, there'll be an actual IRL exhibition you'll be able to go to. It looked like they donated a ringer, and then Dimitri kind of piggybacked and donated a light years, which is really cool. I mean, their collection is freaking sick now. I mean, it's awesome, the stuff that they have. It's a huge start. There was also that donation to the big museum in France, right, by Larva Labs and Yuga, with a autoglyph and a punk. So that's really cool to just see more of that. Deslu Crace, who had an incredible January. I mean, pretty much all of January was him. He donated one of his monsters to Sotheby's permanent collection too. So there's some wallets getting built in the background. I mean.
Yeah, we're infiltrating the system. So in case you missed it, here's the thread by Cause. You can see some of the selected works here. The freaking zombie punk, the ringer.
I know.
Oh man, it's a beautiful ringer. The moniker is only Fragments of an Infinite Field. This is like a Grail one too. Like, this was like one of the best looking from that entire collection. I've got like a floor one that looks like, I mean, it's just not even close to this one. So it's like a monumental donation.
It is.
I mean, 22 works worth, I can't even remember. It's like 7, maybe 8 figures, right? Like tons of impressive art that's there. Kadeen, are you ready to come back and join us?
He texted me. He's figuring out his mic and stuff.
Okay, whenever you fixed your mic issues, just unmute and just pop in and hound us, because we want to hear about this.
Yeah, a couple of things around this on my side is, I think a lot of times people have been looking at trad coming in the wrong way. I think so many people, because they hope for price go up, have been hoping like trad adoption means trad buyers, like people who have been buying traditional art for 40 years coming in and just buying our JPEGs. Yeah. That's not going to happen for a very, very long time. Because we're still in the MetaMask days. And anything like MoonPay with custodian, buys and stuff like that is not scalable for mass adoption. So how I look at, and when I speak or talk to, and what I've been seeing on the back end, because we've been having incredible conversations behind the scenes through Iconic, is Trad's coming from the institutions. They're going to come first, and they're going to validate, because we're a modern art movement. We're modern art. It's just the new, we're the new modern art movement, or contemporary, I should say, not modern, but contemporary art movement. And Trad's going to come through things like this: institutions, Sotheby's and Christie's doing auctions, museums starting to get stuff donated. Then hopefully they'll start doing exhibitions. Basel will continue to add to there, and it's just going to slowly chip away that way. I think the institutions are going to actually come first before the buyers, which is kind of crazy, because I think a lot of people thought it was going to be the other way around, but I don't think so at all.
That is interesting. I love that. And you're kind of at the heart of that. Let's throw this one out there. Any views on the Art Pass by Iconic Moment? So as a disclaimer, Chris is like an advisor, I believe, right? So, but what can you tell us about what's happening over there? We got some curiosity.
Yeah, can't just be patient. We are really, our mantra is to bridge trad institutions with Web3, and it takes a long time. It's a big lift. The holidays definitely slowed it down as well, but it's just a heavy lift. But there's several going on that are incredible and will be really good for the space, and we should have some info on that soon. It's just more a matter of, there's a lot of red tape in that world. And so some things that were very ready to go, FTX kind of stopped that and caused some issues,
Thanks,
as you can imagine. And so it's been a rebuilding process there, but things are looking awesome. And the conversations I've been having, and with the groups that I've been having those conversations, have been blowing my mind.
Love it. Okay. So
and they're the trad institutions are they love it. They're very bullish on it. They want to do this. They also see us as a new group of patrons, right? We're the new collectors. We're the new people that are going to go to the museum if they display this stuff. I mean, imagine day one of that LACMA exhibition when that goes live. And so they're starting to realize that, and seeing, I love, what LACMA is doing and these other places, because it's opening the eyes of everybody else and making it safer for them to jump in.
Yeah, and I mean, I imagine they kind of freak out when they realize how much volume we have going on over here. Like,
it's insane.
The liquidity that's in our space,
insane.
As small as it might be, like in some regards, like a lot of the big mainstream artists are not doing volume like some of the top artists in our space are doing, and so they're probably foaming at the mouth to get in on that. Would be my guess. So just. Yep. Sounds to me like the key is to be patient. We had one of our very first questions here. There was why a Kid Cudi album cover on that's on our YouTube thumbnail, and that will segue beautifully into my next question. Yeah, the reason why is because that is a piece of artwork by none other than Sam Sprat, who I have just been getting more and more curious about, and like the more that I look at his art, especially like this monkey stuff is,
Lucy,
whatever you call it. Lucy
yeah.
looks, it just looks like it belongs in a museum as like
already
this epic forever piece. And so this is part of what the title of this whole thing was, like the next trend in NFTs. Half of it's clickbait, everybody, spoiler alert, but the other that Pio made me change. Like, he's always like, hey Node, your titles suck, so let's change these up. So I'm like, dude, nobody cares. Like, my audience is we're all the hardcores anyway. So, but anyway, this whole thing about how these artists really are kind of creating communities. They've done it with open editions, but I'm not overly like excited about most of the open editions.
We've read your threads.
Yeah, you've read my threads. You've heard my thoughts. I do think Crest has done a good job.
He killed it. He crushed it.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. But like Sam Sprat has these skulls of Lucy, and there's only 50. And guess who has one? Would be Sir Chris Bennett. KD, I'm guessing that Kaz has one too, right?
Am I good?
Yeah, you're good. Way better.
This is beautiful.
Way better.
Yes,
okay,
welcome to the show.
Yeah, I actually told Chris to get the skull. He took the good advice.
Oh, dang. Okay, so
I was
the
late though. I
OG.
was still an all-time high at the time for a while, for a couple of weeks. I was late.
Okay, so
Well,
how did
still not
people
late.
get these? How did people get these skulls? Was it just bidding?
No, so it first started off. I guess he started the bidder. Sprat started the bidders edition,
Yeah.
which he gifted anybody that helped or anyone that bidded on the early editions the skull, and they just sat there for months and months and months, and then of late they just started taking off.
In the summer, Eli and I from Proof were looking at them at like 80th.
Yep, they were sat
and they
between-
weren't being bought. They were listed for 80th, but people weren't buying them. Like you probably could have got like a 60.
Yeah, I picked one up for 20 right before you did.
Oh my gosh. Okay, and so like first off, the art is insane.
He's incredible.
It just looks amazing. What is it? So he's calling it like a council, and there's 50 of you guys that have these skulls. Are you guys like all in this like Illuminati society now with Sam Sprat?
Skull Illuminati.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. So after he kind of announced the council publicly like a couple weeks ago, he sent us a link to a web page, and we had to like solve a bunch of questions that were all like very cryptic, and you had to sort through his descriptions in super rare and his Twitter threads. I mean, it took hours. Kadeen was like one of the first ones to solve it, but and once you solved it, then you had to token verify you had a Lucci skull, and then it got you into the inner sanctum of the council website, and you could see his one of one before everybody else did, about a week before, and he had a big write-up about his journey and about that, and just like a lot of really personal stuff. It was really cool. It's really cool.
So it's like he basically, it's like opening up the curtain for the most diehards, his earliest collectors.
And then Kadeen can speak more to what I can't, because I don't remember what needs to stay private and whatnot, but what the council is going to do going forward. He probably has a better idea of what can be shared and what can't.
Yeah, talk to us, Kadeen.
You there? We lose you again?
Or his mic is just muted.
Stewardess needs to run the Ethernet cable.
Poor guy. We'll have to come back.
He's going. I mean, Sam's publicly said he's going to be. This is his whole life now, and it's going to be his kind of IP. And this can turn into all sorts of different media types, all sorts of different stuff. And along the way, the council will be involved on dictating the journey that Lucy goes on. So we'll have somewhat voting and things like that.
Because basically, like for those that aren't familiar, he's kind of laying out each piece as a chapter, and it's like a story, right? And so like you could turn it into IP if you really wanted to. I don't know what his plans are, but I'm like, just like looking at this, it's like it gives me such a nostalgic. I don't know, like this. It's just like it's like the birth of another species, really. You know, like
honestly,
it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy.
So here's one thing, about Sam that I think people should really look at, or when they're evaluating artists should remember. Grant is in the same space as this. These guys are artists. So the person who actually won his first one of one was Fewocious. He's the one who won his first, he's the one who bid on his first one of one. And it's cool as you study their story. Fewocious used to watch Sam's artist how-to YouTube videos when he was coming up and learning art. Yeah. So they didn't know each other until later on, and they connected, and they're both in New York, and they become really good friends. But Sam, like the Kid Cudi album, and he's done so much stuff in the traditional world, but he's what I would call an artist, and someone who other artists long to collect. And I think that's a really good. That's a safe spot to be in, a safe spot to play.
Yeah, this is only 120 ETH. The problem is for most of us,
the starting bid.
Yeah, the reserve.
I think that goes to 200, if I had to guess.
I think so too.
Oh my gosh!
Especially the day after Blur. Especially the day after Blur drops, maybe could help.
Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah, Kadeen, what can you tell us about the future of the council of this for the skulls of Lucy?
Oh, I cannot reveal those secrets. You have to get a skull to find out.
All I
But
gotta
we will have
do.
voting. No, you can say he said on this. We will have voting rights to stuff, and Sam is definitely pushing this as his kind of like lifelong work, and we will have a say in that and a front seat, a front row seat.
This makes me like, I mean, my most prized possession is my punk, and it's like, do I have to trade it in order to get into this thing? That's like the
They're really
level
cool
of
PFPs too.
dude. Yeah, the skulls are insane.
Yeah.
Okay, now that we got you back, Kadeen, let's go back to this beast right here, the LACMA. How did this start? And who convinced who to like get this going?
Well, I'm going to be brief because I know that we have plans to do something with it. But I mean, Chris said it before, the LACMA is a very forward-thinking museum. And, we really love the team over there. And we just got connected over there and just started talking like 8 months ago. And that's kind of how this all came together.
So, I mean, it was Kaz, himself or herself. What was Kaz is he like basically, yeah, I'm like ready to donate 7 figures worth of some of my favorite art to this like museum. How did that conversation start?
Look, I mean, donating to museum is not something that you could just do. It's something that needs approval on so many layers between lawyers, appraisers, accountants, boards of the museums. You can't just like donate something. And then even if you want to do that, there's all the approval layers. So, I mean, this has been ongoing for months and months and months. And yeah, I'm finally happy that yesterday came and the announcement was out. But yeah, it's a big process, and especially for digital art, the LACMA took that first big step. And I know there's been other donations per se, but not like a big collection like this. Like there's been a punk donated, there's been one-off works. I think Squiggles was another donation, but
the autoglyph,
yeah. But
one, yeah.
I think an actual like real collection. I mean, LACMA's new collection they're probably up there like with this donation top.
It's incredible.
Top 50 collectors now.
Wasn't there some piggyback donations too? Like Dimitri gave a light years, right? Were some squiggles given too? Did Snowpro give some squiggles?
I think he said that the last minted squiggle will get donated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, the 9,999th one will get donated,
cool.
which is amazing. I imagine some of this info is in this long thread, but for those of us that don't read, like, why even do this? Like, why was it important to Kaz to do this, Kadeen?
Well, I think bridging the trad art and digital world is kind of has been our main objective. And every time I feel like we speak to an artist, their number one goal is like, how do they get recognized by the trad art world? How do they get into museums? How do they get that other recognition? And it's not necessarily that I believe that we need the trad art's blessing, but I think bridging that gap and seeing full-time and permanent exhibitions of digital art, I think that's, to me, is what moves the space forward. And I think yesterday kind of cements that in stone, that artists are getting recognized. They are doing all this hard work and marketing and networking, and it's all for the right and good reason. And now digital art is cemented forever, in my opinion.
I love that. Yeah, and it's like you have taken it upon, it's like you, Kaz, the whole crew, taking it upon yourselves. And I see Snowfro very much in the same vein of like, you're not going to sit around and wait for this stuff to happen. You're going to push it forward and make it happen, which I absolutely love, especially since I happen to own a ringer. So there you go, going to give validity to my bags.
Trad's not coming to us. Trad's not coming to us. We're bulldozing into them.
Exactly. Well, I agree with that 100%. I also, just from behind the scenes, and a lot of our friends are trad art collectors, their eyes are they're coming in. They're asking for advice
of
on
us pushing.
Yeah, they're asking for advice on who to collect and where to collect, and we're also learning the other way of like I'm not the biggest trad art collector. I know some big names and some styles that I like, but we're also learning that on the digital side, what inspirations of artists that their work is based off on the trad art side, which is pretty interesting.
Oh, absolutely. That's been a theme of mine. I've been like watching YouTube and learning about art history. It's so fun to see where, like just to see what, number one, what it takes for something to last. That'll help you as a collector. And then number two, to see kind of where a lot of this inspiration comes from, for sure. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about, we mentioned Lou Crest earlier, Chris Bennett. And I imagine KD knows a thing or two about Lou Crest as well.
Big fan.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it was like the very first episode that I did with Chris and maybe even with you, Katie. And we talked about Lou Crest and I was like, okay, seems cool, yada, yada. And now, big deal. What's going on? Like, what are you guys thinking about? I love that Proceed with Caution has done as well as it has. It's definitely seen, its big run up and it's pulling back a little bit. Get us up to speed, either one, about like what's happening with this artist, because he seems like he's on a great trajectory in my opinion.
Chris seems to be you kind of got me into, is it Lucrece or Lucrece?
Lucrece. Well,
Lucrece.
Yeah, Lucrece.
Yeah. You kind of got me in early on Tez, and I've really gotten to know Lucrece, and between his community that's so tight knit and the collectors and his personality and how hard he works, like this was due to happen.
Yep.
Like at any moment, there's nobody that works as hard as him and cares about the community and the space more than he does. So I just want to start out by saying that I'm super proud of him and glad that I can call him a friend. And he's an amazing artist. And yeah, I've loved what he's done with between this, Sotheby's, all his gamified drops. He's definitely changing the game, and I'm glad that he's getting the recognition that he's getting.
Same. He's just an incredible human being. He works so hard, and he doesn't ever do anything. He doesn't ever follow trends, or he's a trendsetter. He does stuff only if it's meaningful to him, and it's honest and true to his brand, and from his brain. He has probably the best artist Discord. If you have to look at like a one artist having their own following, oh my gosh. I mean, bear or bull, it does not matter. That place is a vibe at all times. And he just has rabid fans that love him, and he engages with them so much. And Fu, who is his main moderator, he's amazing too in cultivating the group there. I mean, he has probably one of the best followings in art. He's amazing. He's awesome. He's done so many things, right? He kind of started the one of one PFP meta with the monsters. I mean, that was like over a year and a half ago or more, 2 years ago. He's been in the space, I believe 2 years in April, which is incredible to think too. And he just worked for like did agency work before that. So it's so awesome that he's been able to support himself and do this for so long. And then the Sotheby's, and then, they just announced the Moonbird background, similar to like what Xcopy did with Moonbird's partnership. He just does stuff that really makes sense and is very authentic. And he's just very unique, and playful. I mean, he literally got ripped off by Manchester United like a month ago. So
that was epic, dude.
I mean, he's incredible. And that's been kind of wild to watch, but couldn't happen to a better artist, couldn't happen to a better human being. And he really cares about his art. He cares about the space, and he's just very authentic. And his community is incredible. So it's only up for him, long term. I get a lot of questions because I've been collecting him since day one. I have one of ones, I have, Tezos, I have ETH stuff on the best collections if people are looking to jump in. And I would first say, obviously go to what the art that you love the most. But I think the Life of Mon collection on Ethereum is severely undervalued and is going to be a very big theme. what he's doing going forward too.
The life of Mon. Oh,
And he always helps out holders. If you have a 1 of 1, you get a spawn airdropped.
Oh yeah, number 3 is us.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's your guys.
Oh, like
I'm
my
swear.
Mon
Yeah.
Medici. Look at that, dude! Freaking.
I know. When you guys, from.
What a Chad thing to say. He's like, yeah, number 3. Like that's got our brand in it right there. You know what I mean? Like it's got the Medici name to it. That is sick.
So that's a good collection that I think is going to have a huge part of the story going forward.
Each one of these is an addition, is what? Okay.
Yeah. The only 1 of 1s on ETH are either his Sotheby's super rare drops or the monsters.
What's the next step with the proceed with caution? I kind of I since I didn't get in on it, I missed everything. Has whatever happened with that thing where you've got all the colors, or are we still waiting on what's next?
So the first major stage was if you had all the colors, you could mint the async generative drop for free.
Okay.
That happened. And again, that was incredible. That got up to like 0.75. I mean, just the value to holders and stuff has been amazing. And then he's never done. Okay, so this all started so when he did the open edition, I minted a bunch. I have like 4 full color collections because he did this a couple years ago around Halloween with the Jack on Tezos, and he did kind of like an open edition, super large supply Tezos of the jack-o'-lantern that he did. And then that became kind of like a burn pass for other holidays. So you could burn it for other holiday drops, like for Christmas and stuff like that. And it's still ongoing. I think I saw a sale today that a Jack that I think they launched at, I don't even know, probably under 20 Tez back in the day, sold for like 250 Tez today. So, and that's like a super large edition. They do get burned, so they're deflationary, but he's never done. His gamification is just as good as his art. So look, stop right there over to the right. If you see the Fusion Idol Boozer, how it's multicolored.
Yeah.
So that's if you have 2 1 of 1 monsters and then you bid and win what's called the chamber, then he will take your monsters and make them into a combined 1 of 1 like super monster that has the multicolors, the red and the blue, which is really cool. So it's like 2 monsters become 1. So he just does really cool stuff, and it's never going to stop.
Didn't somebody also recently buy on Tezos the serum?
Yeah, for like 12,000 Tez or something like that. Yeah,
it's something crazy.
So same thing. There's a serum on Tez, and that will corrupt your monster and turn a blue one into a red one. So he's doing this all the time. So it's not deep. There's no way Proceed with Caution is done. There's no way.
Interesting. I feel like he is the example of someone that like he and like ACK. I just like, look, these guys have done it right, and they're doing it like they are the ones doing the performance art, and everybody else is trying to follow. And that's where obviously I get a little bit critical, and everyone was getting mad at me because they were like, stop telling artists what to do. And I'm like, dude, I'm never going to tell an artist what to do, but I will share my opinion on what you do because I'm a collector and we're allowed to have opinions. And I want to protect collectors from just aping into dumb open editions that, have no future. And look, but what I do like is what Lucrece has done. It all feels like there's been meaning and purpose, and he's been ahead of the game the entire time. And it's been integral to his brand, which I absolutely love. So, man, you're going to make me go in and it
always goes back to the holders. It always goes back to the community because he loves his community, and his community is insane. It's so strong.
Okay, freak. Okay, if only I'd listened to you like 5 months ago, when we talked about him initially. All right, I want to get your guys' opinion. We got to get this one out of the way. Bitcoin ordinals. So what I did, I shared this on the morning show. Like, I don't get, I get it at a high level, but I don't get the details. And I don't think that anything that I've seen doesn't look like it's worth me even looking at. But what I did do is I bought a couple BTC domains instead as like another hedge or whatever to like, hey, catch that next wave. They're still reasonably priced. So there's maybe some alpha, or they might just go to zero. But what are you guys' thoughts on the whole ordinals thing? What's coming up next for all that?
That's been a hot discussion with Chris and I. Yeah, I not really a fan of the 10K that's going on. I'm a fan of what's going on with ordinals. To me, it's just another chain, and it happens to be on Bitcoin. I had wished that the Bitcoin punks were not still on art, and they were actually, I think there would be received much better if they were actually Bitcoin punks in their own art. I think those would have done really well. I think kind of yesterday we saw the top end after that big buy, which we don't need to discuss. But yeah, I mean,
remain unnamed. Yes,
I'm bullish on some of the earlier projects that haven't actually allocated yet, like Bitcoin Shrooms and Shadow Hats, which good luck finding any information on. But those are the ones that I'm looking at, are the early inscriptions. But yeah, I haven't really been playing around too much. I've been hearing that Ordinal team is launching a wallet, which will help with receiving and sending. But yeah, I mean, I'm never sending anyone Bitcoin first that I don't know through a Discord or on a sheet, unless it's like someone that I know that has them and I'm buying direct. But I mean, people are doing it. It's working. There's a community around it. And yeah, I think it's good. Another chain's popping up.
Yeah. What do you think, Chris?
I love the innovation. I love that someone's that's messing around on Bitcoin. Like, that's awesome. I would look at it as something very extremely liquid that you probably will have a very hard time to offload if you want to do it, unless you're doing like a really quick flip into a pump or something like that. I do not like the narrative of like punks on other chains. We've like Solana punks and, you know, AVAX punks or whatever it is. I don't like that narrative. I would be looking, here's how I'd be playing it, or how I'm kind of looking at it. Win a wallet / maybe like exchange. And I think someone tweeted out on an exchange maybe yesterday or something that's making it a little easier. When that really gets more built out, then I'm going to look for art I like or communities that seem to be strong and thriving. I'm not going to care too much about like a punk copycat or things like that. Also, the whole like first narrative, that's a very fake, in my opinion, kind of shill sell to the north, like sell to like kind of dump your bags on people narrative, in terms, because punks weren't first. Like if the whole first narrative actually mattered, like CryptoKitties should be way higher than punks on, you know, and I know some of the like more nuanced ones are, but same with like, you know what I mean? So people, they take like autoglyphs and they take chromie squiggles and they take things, and they even will loop punks into that conversation and then be like, this is the next one, it's the first or whatever, but they're missing the point that those weren't really the first. They just were the first to get a really good community around them early. And that's why they worked. They were early for sure, but they weren't the first. So the first narrative, I stay away from that. And I stay away from the punks kind of copycat narrative as well. And that's kind of my thought. So when there's kind of a better exchange, I do not want to mess around with trading in spreadsheets as well. And like, I went into the Discords to try to learn as much. Man, some of them were so freaking scary and like scammy feeling and so weird. And I just kind of stayed away and been watching. But like I said, if there's an exchange where it makes it a little easier, then I would start looking for where communities are being built.
I couldn't agree more. And I think it's smart. Just, it's probably worth, what I haven't done is I haven't tried to figure out like how to actually interact with all this stuff, which is what I should do. But what I'm glad that I haven't done is like actually try to play in this market, because the reality is none of it's all, I mean, most of it that I've seen is just copy paste or low effort stuff. And that's fine. Like that's what happens at the beginning of anything that you're trying to do. It's like, what's the easiest thing to inscribe and put on there first, and good luck and have fun. But like, you need something that's meaningful, right? Like old doesn't mean relevant. So I'm waiting for something relevant to come along, and then like, you know, taking a bet on those. I got like 1 or maybe 2 BTC domains. We'll see if my second one came through, just to see if that holds on. So.
For fun too, I think it'd be cool if like an really popular ETH artist did a bidders edition or some kind of like my original holders edition to like as an ordinal, right? And they actually put real art, like good art on there, and then gave it to like their
Ripcash is
collectors.
doing that.
Is he? But is he
Yep.
giving it to him? Because I don't like artists switching over and selling over there right now, because I just feel like it's too illiquid, it's too scary. Like most people don't know what to do, and they'll get a wallet and then it'll just be stuck there. And so I think it'd be cooler if it's more like a gift to like, hey, let's be early on this thing together and just see what happens. I would like that.
Yeah, I don't think anything was announced with it. I think everyone's trying to be first, but doesn't want to be first and doing kind of like an auction. Because I know Aversano did something the other day with it. I didn't actually see what it looked like, but I know I heard Nick say he bought it. So
yeah, Aversano said he was doing it was a collection, and he was like, "This will be my only collection on BTC," and so. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to offload my 101 Aversano so I can get some liquidity over here on ETH. So I'm like, come on, man, stop spreading out all your stuff. I need the concentration.
All his stuff ran over the weekend, so I'm surprised if yours was on the floor. It should have went.
It didn't. It's a 101 tarot scroll, and maybe it wasn't on the floor, but it's like 5 ETH. That's like I feel like a very reasonable price for a 1 of 1, considering what he sells. But alas, liquidity is a little bit hard to come by these days. Okay, we've gone Blur, we've gone some of our favorite artists, we've gone over to Bitcoin. I know, Chris, you got a hard stop coming up. Any last, what are you looking at these days? Like what's going on in the market? What things are either one of you guys looking at before we wrap things up?
You want to go, Kadeen, first?
No, I'll let you go first.
I've been really good. I've been actually very, very grateful and stoked on the bear in terms of like it's taught me a ton about myself and my mentality.
Yes.
And I've been really good at being really patient and being okay with missing stuff. Like I completely miss checks, and I am totally fine with that.
Same.
I'm totally fine. I think it's awesome. I actually think it's really cool. And if it gets super cheap, I'll probably buy one just to have forever because I thought it was a cool movement and a cool idea. But I've gotten really good at that, where I used to be like, oh my gosh, I'd like FOMO a lot more. And that's been really helpful. And so really my best moves over the bear have been being very patient, DCAing into ETH on dips, stacking USDC. Probably need to turn that into USD now. But and then making offers and like low offer. Like I picked up some killer X copies over the bear for super cheap, for like half of what their floors have been. I made some really good moves in that way, and just being patient and buying what I really like. I've been restructuring my portfolio on like there'll be every now and then I'll like just stay up to like 2 a.m. and just like list everything. And
I just did that last week.
And try to and I keep doing it. I don't ever run my listings for longer than 7 days, and most I only do like 3 days at a time because stuff can change so fast, and then I'll reevaluate. So I still have a lot of restructuring to do, but it's been really good because then I turn around and I go buy something that I love and that I'm really long on. So that's kind of what I've been focusing on lately, and really trying to find those artists like I talked about.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I personally am trying to place offers on X copy pieces that I like, and squiggles, and actually a lot of gen art of late. Been a big fan of William Upon, and Dragons is probably up there, one of my favorite collections. So I'm watching what he's doing, and a lot of other gen artists, and I've just been focusing on art that I love and that I want to collect, and that I don't really care where the price is going to be.
I love it. You gave away I'll say my secret plan. I texted this to NFT Nick the other night. He was like asking me about something else. Oh yeah, it was about the Renders Game collection. But I basically said, look, I am trying to sell a bunch of things that I like in order to just get a squiggle. Like I don't have one, and I'm like, I feel like I'm at this point where it feels so painfully obvious that I have to have a squiggle, that I need to sell something that I like wanted to hold on to. But I'm like, I have to get a squiggle.
I'm doing that right now for Ringer.
Oh, I love it.
That's how I feel for a ringer.
I've been going for a hyper fuzzy.
Oh man.
Yeah, I like my fuzzies. I have 2 fuzzies. I will say, so something that helped me, just for people listening, there's a really cool, and I'll link to them later. I'm going to be gone all day, but maybe tonight. There was an interview with Cyrus. I think it was a Proof podcast interview where he talked about his trading mentality, and it really helped me a lot there. And the majority of it is like, don't be married to your bags. And then like what you're saying, like, flip stuff maybe you like to buy stuff you love. And then your interview with Art Gnome is a must. Everybody needs to listen to that interview.
So
that
good.
will change your mindset big time. That also really helped me with my mindset about being okay. I mean, the dude sold like original X copies and stuff like that for like, pennies on the dollar, and he's totally fine with it because he's just here for the journey. Anyways, that interview is awesome. And then Bankless's interview this week with Punk 6529 is incredible too, on the argument for NFTs in the future. Those 3 from the year are probably my big standout ones that really helped my mindset.
Oh, I love it. Katie, any final thoughts for those that are trying to make it in this crazy NFT world?
Yeah, I saw somebody mention in the comments the brain drops drop. I don't know if you guys brought that up yet. I've been intrigued with AI and AI gen art. I've been watching it super closely, and I think that's going to start taking off. AI gen art.
It already has, man. I minted that Claire Silver for like 325, and I get offers for like 760 ETH right now. And then all my Pindar Van Armens are like 5x since the AI stuff started.
And those were 2 of the 22 that were in the LACMA donation.
I like his regular stuff too. Yeah, I think Brain Arts is probably going to be a good meta for a really long time.
Yes, I don't know what the actual full value of a set is, but that's probably a good idea to
play.
Pick a set up.
What you get like 20 minutes early to mint, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez. Too many things that I want. But that is great alpha, actually. I remember looking at Claire Silver's stuff back in, a month or 2 ago, and now I'm, deeply regretting it, especially after listening to I forget who she did an interview with, but she was so smart, so articulate, and like
she's awesome.
Seems awesome. And I was like, okay.
She's an artist. Artists love her. Other artists love her and collect her. She's awesome.
That makes sense.
What she's done for the space and what she's done for women in the space is incredible. She's onboarded and helped so many women artists get big and really get their feet wet and stuff. It's awesome.
So quickly, she has a project that was on Nifty Gateway. I could link it to you. It's Prematura. Not financial advice. I'm super bullish on it. I've seen a lot of people picking it up of late. I think the floor is like 0.15.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's one of her first open editions, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, the floor is 0.28. It went up from last night. August 2022 drop.
Okay,
We'll have forgot about it, but I do have a couple of them, but I really love the piece, and I think if anyone's just trying to get into her work really cheap, that's a good piece, in my opinion.
K. Dean with the alpha.
That's mega alpha. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for joining. I know we got to close things down. Chris is off. He's got more important things to do. Family always first. I love it. K. Dean, thank you for joining. Everybody, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Node Mode on Valentine's Day this year. I can't think of 2 guys I'd rather spend it with right here than K. Dean and Chris. This was beautiful. Everybody have a great week. We will catch you next week.